I'm here to show you how to make a tree today, and this is something that I've made and I've posted pictures online, and a lot of people seem to like it, so I'm going to take you through the basic steps of how to make one. The materials that you need for this, you're going to have a 3-inch piece, or 3-inch wide piece of PVC pipe, about 5 feet long. You're going to need 1/2-inch PVC pipe. There are going to be the arms and the stand down at the bottom. You're going to need about 20 to 25 pool noodles. You're going to need a skull. You're going to need, and the skull, I have another video showing you how to make a skull look kind of scary. You're going to need some press-on nails for the teeth when you do that. You're going to need some plastic tarp, and you're going to need some spray paint to finalize in some acrylic paint. We're starting the tree. The first thing you're going to need is about 5 foot length of PVC, 3 inches wide. Now the first thing we're going to do is make this so that we can stand up. We're going to be building a stand for it. The way we build a stand for it is, if you take a look at this, you've got this gap here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a wooden plug. We're going to be making a wooden plug that we're going to put into there. It's going to be about 6 inches long. It's going to enable us to drill a hole in the center for rebar. That way we can stabilize it if you put it on the lawn and you want to keep it out for a couple of days. And we're also going to be drilling 4 holes into the side around it. That's going to create a stand so you can put it on a blacktop or concrete or on the floor in your living room if you want to. The cool thing about this is that the stand, the 1/2-inch PVC pipe that we're going to have for the stand, that's eventually going to become part of the rooting system and blends right in. So the first thing we do to create the plug is get a piece of wood. Now what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to be cutting off a 6-inch length. Then I'm going to be chiseling it down into an almost round shape to where it almost fits into the hole of the PVC pipe. Now I'm going to be putting it on the sander, and once I put it on the sander, I'm going to round it down and get it to the side where I can pound it into that hole. A little bit of epoxy, or I can use a screw as a mechanical attachment, and it'll keep it in place, and that'll make the rest of the build go a lot easier. Alright, so one of the things we got to do is create a wood plug. And to create the wood plug, the easiest way to do it is to chisel part of it down, the 4x4, and then once we have it chiseled down, sand it to just a little bit larger where it's like a slight compression fit into the hole. And then we get a hammer, put a little epoxy on it, hammer it in, screw it in, and that thing will be fixed there. It's not going anywhere. What we're going to do is we're going to get it into an almost round shape. And we start that off by chiseling. So take the chisel right here, line it up, chisel off that side. Then you're going to do this side, this side, this side. And you've got the almost round shape that we're going to sand down so that it will fit in the gap in the plug of the PVC pipe. Alright, so after chiseling and sanding down the plug, got to right about the size I want it. Now this is a little piece of the 3x3 PVC. But you can see it kind of jams in there. Just get a hammer, pound that down, and it's going to stay in place. A little bit of epoxy, maybe a screw in there, and that thing will be solid. Alright, so here we got 2 plugs that are going to be going into the PVC pipe. The one I did, and my 12-year-old son did the other one. As part of this build, I'm doing everything, and I'm teaching my son how to build this also. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, now that we've made our plug, we're going to put the plug in here. And basically, as I said, the plug, once it's in there, we're going to drill 4 holes around it. That's going to act as a stand for the base. We're also going to drill a hole going in the center. And that's something that you'll be able to put rebar in. You'll be able to put the rebar in, take it out. So let's say you want to put it on a lawn. All you have to do is put the rebar in, stick it in, gives it extra stability, which with the 4 stands is a lot of stability for this. Now, take the epoxy, we're going to put the epoxy on here. Okay, so you have it all epoxied up. Now, once it's in there, you'll be able to drill a hole in, or you can also drill a hole in before you put it in for the centerpiece of rebar. So you get it. Put it in here. Get a hammer. Tap it down. So it's flush. Okay. let it sit for a couple minutes. One of the things I'll be doing is I'll be taking a deck screw. I'll be driving a deck screw in through like part of this. That'll also keep it from going up and down. And then once I put in the different stands, that'll also stabilize it also. So this is a key part of it. You want to make sure you have a plug-in. It does a lot. Takes a little bit of work, takes a little while to round it off, but it's well worth it in the end. All right, now that we got the center piece, 3-inch PVC pipe set up, what we're going to do is take the 1/2-inch pipe. We're going to cut it into about 2-foot sections or so. This is going to be the base or the stand. We're going to be putting it into the wooden plug that we just made. When you put it in, you can put it in completely straight, or you can heat it up with like the heat gun, put a couple of bends in it so it looks like the root has bends in it also. So all you do, take the saws off. All right, 1, 2, three. All right, so now that we got the plug in, what we're going to do is we're going to put a hole down the center. Now, you can also do this before you actually put it in here. It's probably a little smarter doing that way, but I've already got it in epoxy, so I'm doing it now. So you just take a 1/2-inch drill because you're going to be using a 1/2-inch rebar. I like to loosen it up just a little bit so the rebar gets in pretty easily. It'll come out pretty easily. And you got your center hole. All right, now that I got the hole drilled, I want to make sure that the rebar will fit in there. Just get a piece of 1-inch rebar, line it up there, push it in, goes in no problem. It's in there. Now when you take it out, it might not just be easy to pull out, so you just get a pair of vice grips like this, put it on, tap it out, and you got it out. All right, so now we got our center hole cut. What we're going to do is we're going to create the stand. So the stand, you probably want the center of the 1/2-inch PVC pipe about 1.5 inches up. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole here, a hole here, a hole around the other side, and a hole around there. Drill bit, probably best for this 7/8 of an inch spade bit. And basically what this will do is it'll be big enough that you can fit it in there. It's not super snug, but it's snug enough. And then you can add a screw, you can epoxy it in, you can fix it in there a lot of different ways, and that's still going to give you your base. Now when you drill this, now if you go too far, if you go into the center rebar hole, that's fine, it's not a big deal. Just when you put this in here, you got to make sure that doesn't block the rebar. I mean, you want to try not to go too far, but if you do, not the end of the world. So you take this, make sure it's on forward. Alright, so I'm backing this out right now because what happens sometimes is when you first start to drill, the plastic gets caught up in those in the teeth right there, and that keeps you from being able to go in the wood. So you just back it out. If the plastic actually gets caught in there, knock it out, then you go back in. And there we go. We got a nice little hole here. That will go in, and we got our first stand. Alright, so this is one of the 1/2-inch lengths I'm using for the stand. What I'm doing here is I'm just heating up in a couple of different places to give it more of a bendy root look. Like I said, this don't wind up being one of the roots. You hit it with the heat gun, go around, make sure you're doing it in a well ventilated place. These you don't want to bend too much, so just bend it a little bit. Take a little bit of water, hit it with the water, and you're good. I'm going to do one more bend. Alright, what we're going to do next here is I'm going to show you what I do for the stand. Now, I've got these 2 feet long. I bent a couple. You can bend these different ways. Like this I have just bent like side to side. My son's doing one where he's bending the tip up so it looks like it's coming up out of the ground. Now you can do a couple of different designs, but you don't want to take away too much of the stability for this. So you want to keep most of it kind of level with the ground. Now what we're going to do here is put it in and we're going to stabilize it. One of the ways that you can do it is to stabilize it by using epoxy. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to drill pilot holes and then I'm going to be using deck screws to keep it into place. Now I have this rebar in here. This way I know that like 3 of my holes were really good. The one went into the rebar channel. So I have the rebar in there so that I don't go too far when I'm putting the stand in. So I pop this in like so, get my drill a pilot hole, nice and easy. Get one of my deck screws, put the deck screw in, grab the drill bit for the deck screw, drill that in, and I got my first part of my base. And it's going to be really stable, and it's going to allow us to have a stand up in a few minutes. Alright, so I have all 4 of my stands in. Now, as you can tell, there's still like that 1-inch gap there, so we have to stabilize it. That's where the pool noodles come in. They slide the pool noodle right on and over. Now, I like to leave a little extra beyond the end of that, so when you melt it, it kind of melts over there. Do that for all 4. And we're gonna have it standing in about 30 seconds. Okay, all 4 pool noodles are on right now, and this is going to give it the stability that we need. One of the things I found when you're cutting the pool noodles, you might try scissors and different things, just getting a razor blade like this, doing a quick cut around is the way that I find is the easiest way to do it. So now we've got this all stabilized, put it up, and now we have an upright stand to work with. From here on out, I'm going to be putting pool noodles around it. I'm going to be making a skull for it, put in all like a couple holes here for the arms. Got quite a bit to do, but now that it's upright and standing, it's going to make it a lot easier to do. Alright, so now that we got the stand going, it's a lot more stable. What we're going to do is we're going to put arms in. Now one of the things I did off camera is I put a bend in this because one of the things I want is to have it like a hunched over or like scary look. And it's a little harder to bend the 3-inch PVC than it is a 1/2-inch PVC. If you're going to do this, it really helps if you have 2 heat guns. I only have 1 heat gun and it's taken a very long time, but you can do it with just one, as you can see. Now with the arms, since the arms I'm going to be using the 1/2-inch PVC, grab my 7/8 inch of a bit and just kind of drill it in there. Do the same with this side. About the same height or so. Get the PVC out of the threads. Okay, half away. And you can see it's a little hard to get. This drill doesn't go through super well through the piping. Not that big of a deal. If anything I can't get out with this. Now that I got the basic hole cut in, I'll just take a pair of wire cutters or something and peel it out. Try one more time over here. Worked. And now we got it set up for the arms. What I'm going to do is figure out how long I want the arms, thread it through. I'm going to bend the arms and then stabilize them so they're not flopping all over the place. Okay, so got the arms in here. You saw me drill the holes. I cut about a 6 or 7 piece length of the 1/2-inch PVC, put it through here, and then what I did is once I got it figured out where I wanted it, I drilled a pilot hole going through the 3-inch PVC into the 1/2-inch PVC. I used a 2-inch deck screw. I screwed that right in there, did the same on that side, and this thing's very sturdy. It's not going to bend, it's not going to go anywhere. Then I took the heat gun and I decided what pose I wanted. There's literally 1,000 different poses that you can have. I'm going for like the classic, arms reaching out, about ready to bend over, like it's about to grab somebody as they're walking by. But as you can see with this one arm's forward, one arm's backwards. My son's going to be doing his. He has to decide what pose he wants his. but the arms could be just about anywhere. There's tons and tons of different spooky, eerie, creepy, or funny, whatever you're going for, ways to put the arms. Alright, so now I got the arms in the position that I want them to be in. I'm going to start building up the body. And what I'm using for the body is pool noodles. I actually saw a really cool prop online. It was basically somebody spent a lot of time creating an arch of all these different like wood pool noodles all like intertwined with each other, and that gave me the idea to use the pool noodles for this. What I'm going to do first, and I already did it a couple seconds ago, spray this down with a nice can of spray adhesive. Give it a little bit of time, maybe a minute or so to get a little tacky. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start putting this on the thing. Hold it in space for a couple seconds. Then move on to the next one. And we're going to create a circle of these. Now the glue holds it on, but not super well. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get some zip ties. And at the bottom and at the top, I'll get like 2 zip ties, double it up, and I'm just going to hold it together with zip ties to add a little pressure and allow it to actually stick better. And I'll probably keep the zip ties on until the very end of the project. Alright, so I've got the first layer of noodles on. I cut the noodles in half, got a little bit of adhesive, stuck it to around the edges, and then I got some zip ties and I zip tied it on. Now one of the things I'm going to be doing is, as I start to build this up and everything, I'm going to make the base down there a little bit thicker. I'm going to make it tapering in as we get up, kind of like you almost would see with a tree, where oftentimes trees are thickest at the base and then thinner towards the top. I'm also going to give the pool noodles a wavy pattern. Like right now the pool noodles are going straight up and down. What I'm going to do in a couple minutes, like as I do another layer or two, I'm going to start twisting them so it's got a little twisting look to it, give it more of a barky, tree-like look to it. Alright, so I've got the tree, the bottom of it fleshed out a little bit here. What I did is, like on the very inner part, I used half loops. Inside, I used fuller loops, but I cut off the top half so that it thins up as you get towards the top. And then on the outside, I used half of a pool noodle. One of the things I did on the outside is that I also pinned it a little bit. What I did is I used this baling wire, which I cut into little pins like this. Doesn't like, it's not going to fasten it, but along with the adhesive, it allows the adhesive to have time to fasten to the other pool noodles. Now, one of the things that was kind of a pleasant surprise why I did this, the first one I did, I was using Gorilla Glue, and the adhesive did not work that well. On this one, I was using like 3M Super 77 adhesive, and it worked a lot better. So, now, one thing to think about, type of adhesive you use might make the job easier or harder. Okay, I got a little bit of work done. I forgot to videotape it while I was doing it. I did a new skull for it. This skull I'm going for. What you'll see I did is I attached a 1/2-inch PVC pipe going up into the head, and I attached the PVC pipe to the skull pretty well. It comes down here. And then what I did down here is I got 2-inch deck screws. I drilled 3 pilot holes, and I drilled the hole, and then I just drilled, put the screw right in there, screw right in there, screw right in there, and this thing's sturdy as can be. It's not going anywhere. And now I've got the head. What I'm probably going to do is bend the head just a little bit, get a heat gun, bend it forward so it's like looking down on you. And that's where I'm at right now. All right, so part of this is you're making the arms. You want to do pool noodles for the arms. Now I'm putting this pool noodle on here. It doesn't quite do the bend without like, I'm worried about breaking the arm. But there's a simple fix around that. Just take another piece of pool noodle, cut it down to size, slice it this way, peel it open, slip it on, and you're set. So I've added more noodles on the neck here and noodles like made it a little thicker here. What I'm trying to do is making it look like it's tapering up to the head. Now one of the cool things is when I eventually hit this with the heat gun, these ends are going to crumple in, and once you corpse and everything, it's almost going to make it look like it melds in as one continuous piece, which is going to look pretty good. All right, next thing we're going to work on this is the fingers. Now take a look at this tree here. Got the fingers coming off the tree and everything. This is what we're going to work on right now. The way we're going to do this is get some baling wire, cut off a length. So it could be, I want to make it too long, anywhere from 2 feet, maybe 3 feet. Because what we're going to do is we're going to drill holes in the arm. We're going to stick this through. We're going to drill a couple arms, tie it in there so it's like nice and sturdy. And we're going to have it coming off the arm like this. Okay, so get a drill. Drill a hole through the PVC. Got one there. Drill another one through here. So now we got a couple holes in the PVC pipe. Take the rebar. This can be a little tricky. You get it through the holes. Pop it through like so. Then twist this down through the other holes that you made. Had it, there we go. Pull it through. Do this for as many of the little finger limbs that you want to do. The reason you're doing the secondary holes so it makes it a little more stable in there. And you're going to be doing your fingers, and I'll show you how to do the styrofoam in a minute. Now that we have the wires going through, you want to start setting them up for the finger type look. Now, just a couple of things to keep in mind. You're putting the wires through here. They're at about face level, so you want to be careful you don't put an eye out. Eye protection might be a good idea for this point right here. When we do this next part, you want to get the wires straight as you possibly can. And you're going to get, you probably have like a whole bunch of pool noodles laying around, pieces of pool noodles. So what you're going to do is you're going to get one that's about the size of the wire, maybe a little bit longer. And you're going to cut them into a shape. You know, maybe like tapering down here a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I got a little bit of a tree branch here. Now if I want to make this shorter, I can. And that's another thing, when you put the wires in, one of the things to keep in mind, it's better to go too long than too short, because you can always just take a pair of wire cutters, cut them down short. Now you've got this, and you just push it on. Try to keep it straight as you can, going through. If it pokes out like that just did, just push it back down into it. Okay, and it's on. So I'll do with that little bit there. It's coming out. Put that off. Now you got wire in here. You can bend it, make little bends in it and everything. Now the styrofoam's going to like push it back a little bit, but you can still get bends that give it that tree limb random look. We're going to work on the roots right now, and there's a couple different things that we're going to do with the roots, and I'll like take a break every now and then and do a quick video on what I'm doing. First, one of the things I want to do is I want to get roots, like right now there's the 4 roots coming out. I also want to get roots coming out in between each one, give it more of a root system look. I already sprayed a little bit of adhesive on there, and I've got this noodle here. The noodle's probably about 1.5 feet, 2 feet long. I cut part of it in half at the top here. That's going to be the part that attaches to the tree. Jam it in there. So it's kind of coming off. The other thing I did is I made a pin out of baling wire. I'm also pinning in there to help keep it into place. And you can see how it's like kind of stuck in there. The adhesive will get on there. and it's going to give me an extra root coming off the tree. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make these roots look a little bit better also. What I did is I took some pool noodles, cut them into thirds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach them to both the root into this. I'm going to do one on the top, one coming down the side here, another one coming down the side here, and it's going to give the root a fuller, more root-like look to it. I've done more of the root here. I've covered it up with a pool noodle that I cut into thirds. I have it coming down here. Now one of the cool things is when we heat this up later on with the heat gun, these things, like you can put a lot of heat on here and it's going to kind of meld into what's already existing and it's going to give it a more cohesive look for the root. We're working on heating the foam now of the pool noodles. Basically what you do, you grab a heat gun and what you're going to do is turn on the heat gun, heat up the pool noodles, and you're taking them from a pool noodle shape into more of a, like, I guess you could say tree limb or branch type shape. And if you come on over here, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Hold on.
All right, so turn on the heat gun and you just start heating up the tree limbs as you go along. Now the ends, you want to kind of get them to a nice round, narrower point than the rest of it because it's the tip, so you want the tip to be narrow. And it's heating it up as you go along. You want to do this in a very well ventilated place. You know, I'm outside doing this today. You can see the effect that the heat gun has. When you go over, what I like to do is I like to hit areas, make some areas deeper than others. And shrinking and separating a little bit, that's okay. When we corpse it later, or plastic corpse it later on, that's going to cover everything, but it's going to give a cool look to the final product. And I'm going to be hitting the whole thing with the heat gun. Like I said, some areas, doing like little designs in here, little bumps, little protrusions. And it gives you that woody, gnarly type look once it's done. Heated everything up with the heat gun. I've got general patterns I want. I've shrunk some of the, like I've hit these with heat guns. You know, it looks a little like smaller, a little more tree limb-like, maybe a little bit eerie or creepier. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is what's called plastic corpsing, or I guess in this case it's plastic barking because we're adding a bark to the tree here. And for this, what you're going to be doing is wrapping the body and the whole everything in plastic painter's tarp. You can get it from Home Depot. It's like 0.7 millimeters. It's like $2 a roll. And we'll probably use about a roll to 2 rolls on this one because it's pretty big. There's a lot that we're going to be doing. There's a video online. If you type into Google, you type in Stiltbeast Studios plastic corpsing. Alan Hobbs, who's the person who does the video, takes you through how to plastic corpse a corpse. And it's an excellent video and is a great introduction to plastic corpsing if you've never done plastic corpsing before. And I keep using this term plastic corpsing. What it basically is, we're getting the painter's tarp, we're going to be wrapping this in painter's tarp, we're going to kind of push it into all these like little gaps here. I spray the part about the tarp with the adhesive, wrap it around, form it, shape it, then get a heat gun. You hit it with the heat gun, and what the heat gun does is kind of like shrink wrap. It starts to shrink in a little bit, gets a little bit harder, and it's don't give it a skin or a bark on top of the noodles. What this does is it waterproofs it. No, I mean it's pretty much waterproofed anyway, but it just gives it a more cohesive look, and it's going to make this go from a bunch of pool noodles to eventually something that's really, really creepy because we're going to corpse it. Then we're going to stain it, paint it, and we're done. Okay, we finished up shrink wrapping, as you can see. I got a bit of work done. My wife wasn't here to videotape, so I just went with it and knocked it out. Got the whole thing all stained using a hickory gel stain. It's something that I saw in a Stiltbeast Studio video years ago, and I still use it all the time. You can buy it from Home Depot. So we used the hickory stain, and then what I did on top of that is I got some gray spray paint, did a very light mister of the whole thing. I'm talking very, very, very light. Then I got a little bit of gray paint. I hit some of the deeper spots on this with the gray paint. And then I got a white acrylic paint. I hit that like with a paintbrush. Just did a little dry brushing, trying to bring out all the wrinkles and everything to accentuate a little bit more. Put a little bit on the ribs to bring out the ribs a little bit. Put it on the roots to bring out the roots a little bit. And then I posted pictures on a Halloween forum earlier without this crown here. And somebody said, I think their username was like Bringer, well, it was Bringer Doom, said a crown would look great on that. I thought, he's right, it really would. So I made a quick crown, which I put up on top there. And there we have our demonic tree.